bro?
I'm
I'm good.
good. I'm
How's your
here.
day?
I'm here. Don't worry. I'm here to save the day. Good, man.
Did you have a
Good.
good day? I know you're always on the road, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Always busy. Always running around. Today was like any other day. So back at now. Back at the home office
That's
and just hanging out. Getting some stuff done. It's been busy, as you know. So busy is good in our industry.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate you coming here. I did a small introduction, I think, before you joined. Dante is one of the top area realtors in Boston for Compass at the Movement Group. One of the three partners, right, Dante?
Yeah. Three partners. Yep. I have two other partners I work with. Two business partners, and I have a team of five.
That's,
And yeah, just cranking Boston, from Boston proper to the North Shore. So
that's Hey, let's get right to it, man. What the hell is going on in the market?
yeah.
It's nuts out there. Tell us a little more, man.
Look, I mean, it really depends geographically in Massachusetts right now. I mean, Boston proper itself, Boston has been different. Obviously with the pandemic, everyone was all over the place. So Boston's done. Investors aren't going into the city anymore. Like everyone's leaving. So that all happened. Sorry, my dog's barking. That all happened, and then she's bugging out. Let me shut the door real quick.
So good.
Anyways, so everyone was bugging out when it first, everything happened, and then people started to realize, hey, like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and now we're kind of at the end of the tunnel. And I do feel like at this point in time, people are coming back into the city. So Boston proper itself definitely took a hit for probably 6 to 8 months. But now that we're seeing the vaccination come into play, it's significantly rebounding. Obviously there's a good amount of inventory out there. So for buyers right now, I think it's a great time to still take advantage, because as a buyer, it's how you buy, it's not how you sell. So if you're buying low in a really hot area, AKA Boston, now's the time to get in, because it's probably not going to last too much longer. I went from, going in and getting unbelievable deals the first 6 to 8 months to now going in saying, hey, we're expecting multiple offers. And then, point blank, there's multiple offers on the table right when we end up submitting an offer. So the market is certainly rebounding there in Boston, but north and south of the city respectively. Yeah, people are still moving out. People are still looking for more space. That's inevitable. I don't think that's going to change. I think that has more to do with just generational opposed to COVID.
Yeah.
I think moving north and south for, just a change of life, because that's just the stage that they're in, millennials. And we're seeing ultimate bidding wars. I mean, there's really no two ways about it. I think the bidding wars are going to stay around for a long time. It's giving the market a false positive right now, in my opinion. Everyone. What's that?
Why do you say that? I mean,
I
in terms of the Boston market, or like the surrounding suburbs?
Greater Boston market, anywhere 15 to 45 minutes outside the city, respectively north, south, and west of the city. I think it's a false positive market in the sense where people are saying the market's so hot, but we just don't have the surplus to keep up with the demand. And it's supply demand. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Demand is still there. There's lines out the door during open houses in January. I have to prepare for my clients to go potentially 5 to 10 to 15% over offer price, $100,000 over ask, and people are still losing out. So there's multiple different facets. I think there's definitely craze. I think the hype is real. But I think that the reason why the hype is real is because there's not much inventory, and that is what is the general consensus. However, there's a lot more inventory coming out, but the demand is still high. So how do you mitigate that,
Yeah, and I think this is also fueled by interest rates. I mean, you see it every day, but I mean, I had 3 clients on Monday, all placing offers over asking. All 3 got declined, and just like you said, I think it's here to stay. Most likely, I mean, like you said, Boston may not be as hot as like some other areas, but yeah,
Right.
it's crazy. When do you think inventory should pick up?
When do I think inventory will pick up?
Yeah.
I mean, man, I wish it would pick up tomorrow. I'll be honest with you. Look, I think sellers are starting to come out of their shells. Last year was certainly hibernation. There's no doubt about it, for the obvious reasons. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know economically how anything could impact really whatever was going on. Obviously, we found out, a rhyme or reason, and, we began to essentially, kind of mitigate the burden in the sense of like the COVID vaccination and everything going on. And I think sellers probably are starting to come out of their shells now and realizing like, hey, it's sort of safe to go out. There's a vaccination. And then also the buzz of like, if you do sell your home now, you're going to get top dollar. And I think that rates are so low right now. And, people are just out. You have so much buying power right now as a buyer. And I think sellers are starting to realize like, hey, maybe it is my time. I don't think that there's going to be a point in the market in 2021 we're going to see, surplus catch up with demand. I think that there's going to be bidding wars for a very long time. I just think that even if there was a ton of inventory coming on the market this week, it's going to get eaten up, and there's going to be a lot more buyers because there's a lot of buyers who were pent up still from COVID. They took some time off, and now they're back on the market, more rigorous than ever. And then you have the new buyer pool coming in, right? And the new buyer pool isn't necessarily as experienced. They've maybe heard, they've maybe even been advised of it. So when you're going into these multiple offer situations, we always talk about different, buying power and affordability. For instance, a $500,000 home, you're gonna have more buying power if you're pre-approved up to 550 opposed to the buyer of 500. But what's happening is that 550 buyer is splicing into two different categories now. We're seeing more aggressive 550 buyers, and then the lenient ones. And the lenient ones, it's just like you're not hitting anything with those. So the buyers who have been in the market for quite some time are really coming out very strong. And it takes sometimes a new buyer that is just entered the market to learn a little bit. So I think it's really just turning buyers like you got to be well equipped and really very well prepared at all times.
Such a good point. And also, I mean, we shouldn't forget that we have a huge pool of students that are not here or haven't been here for a while now, and the international students that are maybe are skipping like a year or a semester due to COVID, and I think once a lot of schools are back to in-person classes, that's also going to pent up demand too.
Yeah, I think international buyers were obviously put on freeze for a little bit, and I believe that compromises just about 30% of the Boston market. I think a lot of people think it's more, but I think it's around 30 to 40% of the market.
Still a lot.
Yeah, I think that was held off for last year for a good amount of time. I don't think people were liquidating their assets. I think that it was just more so they were holding on to them and they weren't planning on reinvesting their money. 1031 exchanging. I think they're just putting it on freeze. So I don't think there was. I mean, there definitely is international money still coming into the city, and I think it's now starting to pick up again. But I think last year was at a hold. But I think once the universities come back in, that's when you really start seeing the market, like you mentioned, really pick up and have an uptick for sure, which I'm excited about. And I'm excited to go back to the normalcy, of course. So whatever that may be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what normal.
And your office is in Boston, right?
Yeah, so my office is on Newberry Street. So we're in pretty much the middle of Newberry Street. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to capitalize on our office and utilize it as much as we'd like to this year. I think that, coming into the new year, especially where I'm at Compass, it's a great collaborative, environment, amongst brokers, amongst the staff and administration. We're very tight knit there. So I certainly miss it.
For sure.
I've had a lot of, I was saying, it's a great spot for collaborating, and unfortunately we're not able to get in there. We are a little bit now. We're starting to move towards that. And my company's taken the correct steps to, make sure that there's no issues with anyone, going in the office and spreading the virus. So
nice. Yeah, I got a question here from E1 Papino. I don't know if I know them, but is the demand more on multifamilies or single families? I mean, depends. too, but
I think it's all relative to the buyer, but in general, of course, single family is the pent up demand right now. You're taking a large demographic of a certain generation of people. Let's use the millennials. And in the lower tier, the younger side of the millennials are now starting to emerge in the market. I'd probably say like mid to late 80s babies to like mid 90s. So that's a pretty big bulk of people that are looking to emerge in that market. That market was compromised and taken up a lot in the city. A lot of those people who are now buyers were renters, and they were all in Boston. So they're fleeing their apartments and they're looking for single families, whether that be that they're moving on in life, getting married, or moving to the next step in their life. Typically, I would see somebody be in the city, rent in the city, and then call me to potentially purchase a condo in the city for the next step. They're essentially skipping that condo phase and they're going right to the single family phase. I think that
for remote work, I think single families are going to be hot for a while. But for investors, do you think there is still that opportunity into multifamilies right now? A lot of them are overpriced in most areas around here, unless you're going towards Worcester. But do you think there's still value in multifamilies?
it depends the use, in short. So if you're an owner occupant in a multifamily, you're building equity. You're purchasing a property and you're essentially recycling your money and building equity in the property, and you're enjoying that property and you're taking what is known as home ownership. If you're looking at it solely from an investment standpoint, it's really going to determine what pockets you're in for that specific investment. Now, there's obviously we can get into the capitalization rates and all that good stuff, but in a high level, you want to make sure that your rent roll is what I tell my clients. Your rent roll is, right at where you're paying for your mortgage. Say you're paying a $2,500 mortgage. Hopefully you're grossing on two-family $2,500. Yeah. So you want to be positive cash. That's the goal, obviously. When you're purchasing a multi-family, you take that money that you're getting the excess per month from your rent rolls and you're dumping it back in your mortgage. If you're not positive, you obviously want to be neutral. And if you're not neutral, a couple $100, that you have to pay out of pocket a month is not a big deal. And I think that it's more advantageous paying out of pocket if you're living there, right? I think that makes sense. But as a lucrative investment, if you're not an owner occupant in the property and you're taking a hit and dividends of a hit, it's probably not the best market to invest in. I think sub-markets that offer public transit and bus stops and train stations are definitely the pockets. That seems pretty obvious, but there's a lot of towns and cities that people neglect to invest in that have those. And I could have a laundry list and name a ton of them. But I think that wherever you find public transit is really where you're going to get pretty decent rent. But you just have to make sure the acquisition price is, somewhat realistic compared to what you're getting for the rents, and you just have to find that balance. But again, attaining home ownership, as you know, and you preach, Sadrid, it's, if you're an owner occupant, you're living there and you're just building equity, who cares if you have to shell out $500-600 a month renting out your other unit, you supplemented income regardless, you're building yourself equity and you're building wealth.
100%. Hey, what do you recommend first-time home buyers listening, if we have any, those that are looking to buy in this market? What's your number one suggestion right now?
Like number one tip, like any tip?
Well, yeah, get ready, or I don't know. What would you recommend them?
In the room is you. I think we talk to you. They need to talk to me and you, but they need to talk to you because you need to give them a budget. If I have somebody that comes to me that's already pre-approved, they're hitting the ground running. If someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm new to the home buying process, I'm going to let you kind of take the ropes and I'm going to listen and, we're going to kind of make this work together. We're going to get you pre-approved. The first thing is you need to figure out your budget because you're not going anywhere without your budget, as you know. And the analogy I like to use with my clients on a high level is it's like going to the mall without a credit card or cash in your pocket. You're essentially window shopping. People have time for that. I don't.
Do you see a lot? Do you see a lot of people that are just, hey, Dante, I'm looking for a, 700,000 single family without a pre-approval?
They ain't coming to my team. They ain't coming out with us. I mean, look, we're in a market right now where, we have to prioritize pre-approved buyers, right? I mean, if we have a friend that will come to us and say, hey, I'm looking for a property, there are proper steps that you can take prior to getting pre-approved to make sure that you're aligned and building a foundation for when the time comes. If the time isn't ready, you can obviously have a conversation like with yourself, Cedric, with a consumer to get pre-qualified, to just get a ballpark. I have numerous people that will call me and say they're not ready. And if they're not ready, that's okay. We're not, we will always have a plan for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. So if you're not instantly ready to get pre-approved, which typically lasts 60 to 90 days, we can set you up on a search. We can get you acclimated to the areas. Maybe you don't even know where you want to go. Maybe you're still a year out. Let's set you up on a search and get you going and get you adjusted to the areas you want to be in, learn the market, become the professional like ourselves, and then we can have that conversation. But typically I recommend you don't want to go out to go see a property before you have a pre-approval. And as you know, a lot of people do that and then it becomes a crash course. And I think that's why, there's sometimes a negative connotation with the real estate process because people feel like it's rushed, but it's not rushed when you're pre-approved. When you're pre-approved, you are ready to go. And I think, and I'm sure that people will come to you on a Sunday night. I need a pre-approval. The offer deadline's Monday. You have the real estate agent on one side. You got the consumer on the other side and their parents on the other side too. And you're trying to figure out which is, it's a crash course, No,
I love what you're saying. I can't agree more, man, because it's right. Like most of my borrowers, it's like last minute, and it's like we have all this free content that we're trying to provide out there, and we're making ourselves available, but it seems like it's always last minute. And I think that's where I personally try to educate my base and my clients that, hey, it's okay to do some prior homeworks. And I think most people get it, but it's the time factor and everyone's so busy. But I think that the more prepared they are, the better they're going to go in this market with a strong, solid offer. And like you'll have that budget and you'll know exactly what they're looking for. So
and our three kind of pillars that we lean on a lot is trust, truth, and transparency and integrity. And the bond of the relationship that you have between a consumer and an advisor meaning myself or you in the mortgage industry, you have to have trust. And what I tell my clients is, and I'm completely straightforward, brutally honest, I'll say, hey, you want to see this property on XYZ Street. I'm letting you know based off my experience, this property is going to go 10 to 15 to 20,000 over ask. So when we walk through this door, this property isn't worth, for intention purposes, it's not worth 550 anymore. It's worth 575, right? And it might even be worth more. So before even stepping in the door, we're having these transparent conversations. Do I want to have those type of conversations, man? Probably not. I mean, I'd rather just say, let's walk in and get you a deal. But given the market and the current situations that we're in, buyers need to be more prepared than ever. Unfortunately, you can't walk into an open house expecting to get an offer accepted without being pre-approved. Timeline will be off, expectations will be completely off, and it just becomes an ultimate crash course. So you want to give yourself as much time. You want to get at least pre-qualified by Cedric, or even better, pre-approved. And once you're at that time, you'll be ready to go. And it's essentially just giving me a call, and we can easily execute.
I love that. Hey, give me something more specific for an investor with 25% down. Where would they find a bargain? Or if you were in their position, where would you buy? Give me a few. Let's point it down.
It's a hot spot right now.
Where?
Salem, Massachusetts, home of the Salem is. Yeah. Salem, Mass has a lot more to offer than what people think it does. Obviously, it's not as close to major highway access as I would like. You're next to one of the top 10 hottest zip codes, PBD, in the country that was ranked on one of the top websites not too long ago. You're next to Beverly, which is an extremely hot market. And within Salem, you have an abundant amount of public transit opportunity. You have the commuter rail, you have buses, and you have a great downtown area. You know, my investors are seeing cap rates there as high as, you know, 7-8%, 7 to 10%, really. 25%, 20% down two family. You know, you're acquiring that for around 575,000 to 650,000, right? You might need put in a little work, but you're getting great rent rolls and you're getting awesome tenants. You're getting people that are leaving the city that are coming there. You're getting a lot of people who, you know, I see a lot of people from like Back Bay, Dorchester, JP, even the North End, and they find that Salem is a cool little niche spot because it has an awesome downtown, awesome restaurant scene, and it's just so alive. It has that tourist attraction feel to it.
Yep.
The 45-minute commuter rail is essentially the cherry on top. Prices there are cheap. I wouldn't say cheap as in super cheap, but they're cheaper than anywhere around. And then on the flip side, if we're going South Shore, I would probably say Weymouth is in a similar position. Weymouth has been, you know, consistently on the map for a lot of people who actually were from the South Shore, maybe grew up in like Hingham, around the Quincy area, Marshfield, and they want to find that happy median spot that's close enough to the city. Weymouth is your person on that end. So I'm seeing investors going back and forth, and I think that is just due to the proximity of being in the city. But again, it really comes down to supply demand. Prices in Salem, let's go back to Salem. Prices in Salem last year, you could pick up a two family for around 500, 550. Now they're going up to 650. So everything's all relative on the market. The hype is real. I think Salem, and then if you want to go South Shore, Weymouth, but I think Salem is the real deal. You know, I'm excited for what has to happen there. I have a lot of clients who have built portfolios there for the past 3 to 6 years. And, you know, they're either cashing out or 1031 exchanging. And they bought those with 25% down. And whether they're living in the properties or whether they're just renting them out, they're all positive cash flow.
That's amazing. Hey, another area. What do you think of Worcester? I know Worcester's been hot for a while. It's kind of further out. We know that. But
Yeah.
do you see a lot of people buying? I mean, have you had much experience with Worcester?
Yeah, I've had a few conversations as of late these past few weeks with Worcester, and ironically enough, there were 2 graduates from Holy Cross and Assumption, and then you have RPIs out there, or WPI.
WP.
Right, and then yeah, so you have a few different universities out there, and I've had those conversations, and the people who seem to know that there's an opportunity are actually the people who spend some time there. I had a good friend of mine call me earlier this week. We had an awesome catch-up conversation, and he went to Assumption. And he's like, hey, man, I think there's a lot of, you know, not tapped into resources out there. And inevitably, I think that, you know, Worcester, obviously, right now, the acquisition prices are low. And what comes with that is low rental prices. There's a lot of different pockets in Worcester, so you have to be strategic on where you go to. You also have to realize if you're completely banking on universities right now, it's probably not the best time. So as a safety net, I always tell my clients, buy somewhere within proximity to a university, but somewhere where it's relatable to, you know, a town too, where it's like a normal town, because you have college towns, right? So you want to kind of go somewhere in the middle, like a sweet spot, because you want to have that reserve of knowing that if you can't get a college student in for, you know, the intents and purposes of because of COVID, that you have an escape plan and you can get somebody who appreciates the area for maybe not going to school there. So right now, like the Worcesters, the Lowells, the Springfields, the Fall Rivers, great areas to invest in, without a doubt. But I truly do think at the end of the day, you know, your bread and butter, and there is still opportunity, you know, within a 15 to 45-minute proximity from the city of Boston.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
Hey, we'll switch it up a little. You do an awesome job on social media. What do you got? You got a team working for you. You do all of it by yourself. I currently do a lot of it myself. I haven't been able to automate yet, but what's your tricks? Not tricks, but tips, and what would you tell us? Because we're all, you know, trying to get better at our social media game, and you're killing it there.
Thanks, man. Well, props to you too. I mean, you do a great job on, putting yourself out there and making yourself known, and everyone knows Sadrit. So, my whole team, man, you're doing good stuff. And I think we can segue into the most important part, but there's again pillars to this. Providing value is number one. Just today, you provided value to my partner about a listing we have coming up. And I'm not going to get too far into it, but what is, the rent compared to a mortgage? Something like that, something easy like that spreads across like wildfire. You're providing value to someone else, they're posting it, and you're getting the credit for it. So providing value and collaboration are key. But really the number one aspect is consistency, and driving that consistency is so crucial. I've been consistent for about 4.5 years on social media. Every morning I wake up, I'm pretty much doing the same thing. It's routinely. I do not have a team working for me. Unfortunately, I wish I did, but you have to realize that it's authenticity that wins games. And if you're not authentic and you're playing by someone else's playbook, you're not winning. So you have to be authentic at all times. And if you're not authentic, then, you're not really showing your true self. And you do. You present yourself so well. So that's why we're on this conversation. You want to be you, whatever that is. And if you can show who you are, people are going to appreciate you for you. The best thing that I've done for myself personally is consistently build new relationships over the years. I'm not going out trying to build them. They just organically happen. And me being myself on social media and broadcasting myself shows those people that I've always had relationships with that they can always trust me for me. And being that I've been in the industry for quite some time, the conversations I have with my clients have significantly changed over the years because of this. And it becomes down to the trust. And if you don't have the trust factor, it doesn't really work. So they're not coming to me saying I need to know every robotic process. They're just hey, I need to buy a home, make it work. And that's how it is, and they're calling me up. I need this house. I need to get pre-approved, and that's it. But it came down to consistency and being authentic. And those are the two biggest, I think, points in social media. But you're not going to get far.
Actually, so, and then, I'll tell you offline about this, but a friend of mine that I was DMing with the other day, he's oh, I may be looking to buy. And he's been, kind of off and on, for a while, first time home buyer. And he says, oh, how's Dante? I'm like, oh, how do you know him? And he's like, yeah, I've spoken to him a year and a half ago. And I think it's all social media. I mean, we have this powerful tool in our hand, and
yep.
It's how we provide value and how we use it.
Right.
To me, my top thing has been all about providing educational content, and I think a lot of us, I mean, me myself, I'm constantly trying to go Google something, and if you have it all in one place. Would you go out there? But your top tips that I noted here: providing value, be consistent, authenticity wins gains, and being yourself. So for those of you listening, those are Dante's top media tips.
To really encapsulate everything in a nutshell, I think it's building a consistent audience within your network. That's what it's essentially what entails you to be you. So for me, it's real estate. Someone might hit me up looking at a property. Oh, I love that property. What's the price of it? Whatever, X amount of dollars. Cool, Dante. Thanks. I'm not going after them saying, let's go put in an offer, because I know that they just want to know. So building an environment around you is so important, because if you have that environment, people are going to come back to you in a year. They're going to come back to you in 2 years. I'm not here to have a DM conversation and say, when are you going to buy it? When are you going to pre-approve? Listen, I have a life outside of real estate. Everyone has a normal life. I wouldn't want to be getting hammered on calls saying, when are you going to buy a home? When are you getting pre-approved by Sadrit? When the time comes, the time comes. But the key factor is you have to know that. And if you don't know that, then you don't have trust in yourself and you don't have trust in them. So, you have to go back to the authenticity. And you have to realize, hey, what can I do better to know that they're going to come back, And that's
there's been that I've lost a client for a reason or another. Let's say a rate in my example, and honestly, I think as long as you're just like you said, authentic, you're doing your job. I've had those clients refer me other clients, even though they've went with a different lender due to rate or whatever it's been.
Right. Right.
They send me their friends and family. So
Right.
never burn any bridges. I mean, it's all about being yourself. Be yourself. You're planting so many seeds out there.
It's all about being yourself. And, I think a lot of people also have to realize that it's not also being authentic to your followers, but you also want to collaborate without ego, which is something big that we share at Compass too. It's definitely one of our mementos, collaborating without ego with brokers, with other industries, whether you're an attorney, whether you're in finance, or you're a mortgage lender, or whether it's home insurance, companies. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's anyone within the industry you want to have good relationships with, and good things happen. I know a lot of people in the industry I have great relationships. Do I get referrals from everybody? No, that's not how the game works. But having those relationships definitely come to fruition at some point in time. So you have to have good relationships with people on social media, off social media, with other industry leaders. I mean, it's just all around, just be yourself and be consistent. Consistency is the winner of everything.
100%. Hey, no,
Yeah.
this is all good, and I hope for those of you that are here on the live joining us are finding this very valuable. I certainly am enjoying it.
Nice.
So I mean, unless you have any burning topics, we can start to wrap it up. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put like a Q&A. You're getting a lot of love in the comments, Dante.
I can't.
Realtor genuine. I love it.
I can't see the comments for some reason. Let me see if
I think you kind of have to like.
No, I know. I for some reason it's just not showing in real time with my comments. It's like really odd.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, let us know. But hey, what's the best way for people to contact you if we have any looking about?
Go ahead and just slide in the DM. I mean, that's the way we do things. I've been doing that since 2018. Slide in the DM, and I'll get back to you, and we'll get it going. I want to hear about your goals. I want to hear about what you want to accomplish. In the present day, 5 years, 10 years down the line, and I want to chat about those goals. I think that for me, the motivation behind why I love what I do is because I want to see people happy, and I want to help them make the best decision on the biggest purchase of their life. It's not about the bag. It's not about the money. It's not about the deals. It's about seeing my friend who I haven't maybe spoken with, or a friend that I've impacted their life so much with real estate, refer me to another friend, and I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm going to keep doing that consistently. And that's what I love to do. And I think that if that's the true feeling you have about something, you're passionate about what you do, you love what you do. I'm not a numbers guy. You are. And you love what you do on that. I'm a real estate numbers guy. Like anything else, you have to learn the business inside out. And that's what I did. But you're the guy that's making the magic happen on the back end. And I'm the guy that's, touring people around, and the guy and gal. And I think that, you just have to be authentic in this industry when you come in, and you just got to work hard. You got to work hard. That's all it is.
I appreciate that. And that's why you're so good at what you do, because you love people, you love helping. And ultimately that feeling that you've, helped someone accomplish, their biggest purchase, or, like start their family, in the place that they dreamed about. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I give you a lot of props.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We just got to continue to, spread the good word. You do what I do on the real estate end, you do it on the lending end, and, just educating people each day. And the best feeling is actually helping out the people that don't reach out to me. And as crazy as that sounds, it's the people who don't message me, It's the people who don't interact with me. Those are the people I want to provide the most value to.
Oh, they're watching. They're definitely watching you.
Right. And that's why, because I appreciate those people because they appreciate me for giving them that information. And that's really the audience that I truly appreciate, because I'm providing them value and they're tuning into that and they respect that. And that's all I care about. I'll provide value forever, and that's all I'm going to do. And there's endless amounts of value, and there's endless amounts of opportunities and learning, you know, throughout the industry, and you're always continuously learning. So we'll always collaborate and always share our knowledge going forward too. So,
and it's free, and I think those ones are the best ones that eventually become your clients down the road. So.
Of course, you know, just building a real estate environment, or just building the environment that you specialize in, is just so important. And creating a roadmap for anybody individually is the most important part. You know, not everyone has their own track record. Everyone has their own story to write, especially when building a real estate portfolio. So whether you're 10 years out or whether you're a month out, you know, we'll build you the right game plan together and we'll make it work.
Thanks, man. Hey, I appreciate you a lot. We'll wrap it up. Best way to contact Dante, slide into the DM. Same way for me. I mean, that's the way to do it. But you
So you can go 2-for-1 special. You can DM Cedric for pre-approval, and we'll get you set up on a custom search right away. That's what you should do. And you should be offering the package discounts.
We will. Hey, maybe next time we can get an attorney to join us. I mean, I don't think we can do this 3-way though, right?
Can't do it 3-way. You'd have to have either, you know, you'd have to have an iPad at hand, or you're gonna have to have someone else in person to do like a double screen. But yeah, we could definitely bring in somebody. I know, you know, a few people that would love to have an opportunity and spread the good word of real estate.
Exactly. Yep. Well, you're doing it. I appreciate you. I know the people here appreciate you too. So thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
I'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye.